You can be a grown adult, pay your own bills, make your own decisions, and still live like you need someone else's permission. If you have ever changed a decision because you were afraid of someone's reaction, or hidden something completely harmless because you did not want the lecture, or stopped enjoying something good because you started wondering what other people would think, then this may already be happening to you. Too much access is not really about what someone knows about you. It is about how much power their reaction has over your choices. And one of these 5 signs is especially dangerous because most people mistake it for kindness or loyalty or simply being a good family member. After the 5th sign, I will show you how to take that control back without becoming cold or selfish and without cutting everyone out of your life. Sign number 1. You prepare your defense before you even make the decision. Imagine you have wanted something for a while, a nicer jacket, a new pair of shoes, maybe an upgrade for your home. Nothing crazy, you can afford it, your bills are paid, nobody is going to suffer because you bought it. But before you even reach the checkout, your mind starts arguing with you. Do I really need this? I could get something cheaper. What will my family say when they hear what I paid? Will they think I am wasting money? Maybe I should just forget it. And here is the interesting part. Nobody has said anything yet. You are already defending the purchase to someone who is not even there. Sometimes you walk away without buying it. Other times you buy it and then feel guilty instead of enjoying it. This does not mean you should spend money irresponsibly. If a purchase hurts the family budget, then of course it should be discussed. The problem begins when you can reasonably afford something and still feel like you need moral permission from another adult to enjoy it. Listen to how people talk when this happens. They do not simply say, I liked it, so I bought it. They say it was on sale, or I have not bought anything for myself in months, or it is good quality, so it will last. Nobody even accused them of anything, but the defense is already prepared. Here is a simple test. If the other person does not accept your explanation, are you still allowed to make the decision? If the answer feels like no, then you were probably not explaining yourself. You were asking for permission. Sign number 2 is quieter, because nobody has to pressure you at all. You cannot enjoy your own life until you know how it looks to other people. You finally get something you wanted. Maybe you move into a comfortable home, you buy a reliable car, you take a simple vacation, you choose a less impressive job because it gives you more time with your family. At first, you are happy. Then the audience enters your head. Someone you know has a bigger house. Someone drives something more expensive. Someone travels somewhere that looks better in pictures. Someone your age has a job title that sounds more important than yours. Suddenly, what made you happy 10 minutes ago starts to feel small. Nobody criticized you. Nobody laughed at you. Nobody even said anything. You did it for them. You stopped asking, do I like my life? Now you are asking, would other people be impressed by it? That is a terrible trade because there will always be someone with more. More money, more status, a bigger house, a better vacation, a more impressive story. So, if other people decide when your life is good enough, then your life will almost never be good enough. You can achieve something you once dreamed about and still feel embarrassed by it. Not because the achievement changed, the standard changed. And sometimes the people you are trying to impress are not even judging you. You have watched them for so long that you learn to judge yourself on their behalf. The 3rd sign looks responsible. It can even look mature. You call it asking for advice, but what you really want is approval. There is nothing wrong with getting advice. If you're making an important financial decision, then talk to someone who understands money. If you are choosing between 2 jobs, then talk to someone who knows the industry. Good advice gives you information you did not have, but sometimes you are not looking for information. You already know what you want. You thought about the risks. You made the decision. Then you go to one particular person. If they smile and say, that sounds like a good idea, you instantly feel better. But if they frown, then suddenly you are not so sure. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. Why does their reaction carry more weight than everything you already thought through? There is a huge difference between asking, what am I missing, and asking, am I allowed to do this? The first question asks for advice. The second asks for permission. Plenty of capable adults still do this. They run businesses, manage employees, raise children, solve serious problems every day. Then one look from a parent or spouse or sibling or friend can make them question something they were confident about 5 minutes earlier. That does not mean you should ignore people who know you well. Their opinion should enter your thinking. It should not replace your thinking. Sign number 4 is where another person does not even need a good argument anymore. They know exactly which version of you to threaten. Sometimes one sentence is enough. I never expected that from you. You have changed. Family used to matter more to you. Do whatever you want. It is your life. I just thought you were better than that. Technically, they did not forbid you from doing anything, but now you feel the need to prove that you are not selfish, not ungrateful, not cold, not a bad son, not a bad daughter, not a bad friend. And sometimes the easiest way to prove that is to give them what they wanted. This works because most of us have an identity we desperately want to protect: the reliable one, the generous one, the person who is always there, the peacemaker, the good child, the strong one. Once someone knows which identity matters most to you, they may not need an argument. They only need to make you feel like you are losing that identity. Sometimes people do this intentionally. Sometimes they do not even realize they are doing it. Some families have repeated these patterns for decades, but the effect can be exactly the same. You stop asking, is my decision fair? You start asking, does this decision make me a bad person? Those are not the same question. When someone can change your behavior just by threatening the way you see yourself, they have access to something much deeper than your private information. Now, sign number 5. This is the one many people confuse with kindness. Someone else's disappointment automatically becomes your guilt. Someone asks you for something, you say no. They get upset. Almost immediately, you feel guilty. Notice what happened. You did not ask whether the request was reasonable. You did not ask whether you had the time or money or energy. You did not ask whether you broke a promise. You skipped all of that. They are unhappy, so you must have done something wrong. But someone else's disappointment is not proof of your guilt. Sometimes people are disappointed because you really did fail them. Own that. Apologize. Fix what you can. But sometimes people are disappointed because your boundary is inconvenient for them. Maybe you stopped lending money. Maybe you stopped answering every call immediately. Maybe you refused to rearrange your entire day again. Maybe you kept something private. Maybe you simply said no. Their disappointment can be completely real. They may sincerely dislike your decision. That still does not make the decision wrong. Because if every negative reaction makes you reverse your boundary, then people eventually learn something about you. Your no is not really a no. It means apply more pressure. This is where a lot of people stay trapped for years. They think they have a problem saying no. Usually that is not the real problem. The real problem is what happens after they say it. They cannot tolerate the silence, the cold reply, the disappointed face, the guilt. So they go back, they explain more, they apologize. Eventually, they give in. So how do you change this without becoming a cold person who never listens to anyone? Start here. Stop announcing every thought before it becomes a decision. You think about changing jobs and immediately tell 5 people. You consider moving and suddenly everyone in the family has an opinion. You mention buying something before you even decide whether you want it, and now you are already defending the purchase. Not every thought needs an audience. Some decisions need a little privacy while they are still forming. Think first. Gather information. Understand the consequences. Figure out what you actually want. Then decide whose opinion truly belongs in the conversation. Next, separate stakeholders from spectators. Ask yourself one question. Will this person actually live with the consequences of my decision? Or will they simply have an opinion about it? If you are spending shared money, then your spouse has a real stake in the decision. If your choice affects your children or business partner or someone you made a commitment to, then their concerns matter. But the relative who does not like your neighborhood, the friend who thinks you should drive a nicer car, the person who thinks your vacation is too cheap or too boring, they are allowed to have an opinion. You are not required to build your life around it. A stakeholder deserves a conversation. A spectator gets an opinion. Do not confuse the two. Next, shorten your explanations. Try saying, that does not work for me. I decided to do it this way. I cannot help this time. Thanks. I will think about what you said. I would rather keep that private than stop talking. This can feel uncomfortable at first. especially if you have spent years explaining yourself until everyone was satisfied. But sometimes your boundaries keep turning into arguments because you present them like opening offers. You say no, then you give 6 reasons. The other person attacks reason number 3. Now you are defending reason number 3. 20 minutes later, you are no longer discussing your decision. You are trying to win permission for it. A boundary does not require unanimous approval. Then test the relationship with one small boundary. Do not start with the biggest conflict in your family. Start small. Take longer before answering a request. Keep one detail to yourself. Decline one invitation without writing an essay. Make one low-risk decision without polling everyone you know. Then watch. A healthy person may disagree. They may even be disappointed. But eventually, they can accept that you have the right to choose. Someone who has become too comfortable with unlimited access may react very differently. More pressure, more guilt. Old favors suddenly come up. Other people get pulled into the conflict. Your independence gets called selfishness. That tells you something useful. A boundary does not always damage a relationship. Sometimes it simply reveals what the relationship was depending on. And finally, learn to tolerate someone being unhappy with you. This may be the hardest part. You can learn the perfect sentence. You can read 10 books about boundaries. You can know exactly what you should say. But if one disappointed face makes you collapse, then none of it matters. Freedom is not having everyone approve of your decisions. That will never happen. Freedom is being able to hear someone disagree, seriously consider whether they are right, then still make your own decision when you believe they are wrong. That does not mean becoming stubborn. Sometimes other people see our mistakes before we do. Sometimes criticism is exactly what we need, but judge criticism by whether it is true, not by how uncomfortable it makes you feel. For the next 7 days, try a simple experiment. Do not announce every intention. Give one ordinary no without a long defense. Make one personal decision before asking everyone else what they think. Then, when you feel the urge to back down, ask yourself one question. Did I actually realize I was wrong? Or am I just trying to stop someone from being unhappy with me? That question can tell you more about your relationships than 100 arguments ever will. You do not need to stop trusting people. You do not need to turn privacy into a wall. You do not need to cut people out of your life just because they disagree with you. The people closest to us sometimes see things we miss. Sometimes an uncomfortable warning saves us from a serious mistake. But good advice leaves you able to think. Unhealthy influence leaves you afraid to disappoint. Another person's opinion may matter deeply, but it should not decide what you want before you do. It should not determine whether you are allowed to enjoy your own life. And it should not force you to build a life that is easy for other people to approve of. Someone has too much access when their possible reaction becomes more powerful than your own judgment. And when you hear their voice before every choice, they no longer need to control you directly. You are already doing it for them. Taking your life back does not mean you stop loving people. It means you stop asking them for permission to be the person living it. If this video made you recognize something in your own life, then I want to hear your story. Which of these 5 signs hit closest to home for you? Maybe there was a moment when you finally said no. Maybe you made a decision for yourself and someone reacted badly. Or maybe you are still dealing with this right now. Tell us what happened in the comments. You do not need to use names or share anything too personal. Your story may be exactly what someone else reading the comments needs to see today. And if you want more conversations like this, then subscribe to The Seventh Drawer. We talk about the truths people often understand too late. If someone came to mind while you were watching, then send them this video.